I think it's clear, like interoperability is going to be a huge thing. That's one of the things that we took as a fundamental part of DeFi. You can't address DeFi and say no, only one chain will exist, right? There's never going to be one winner. It's all about different chains. We are Cardano focused, and yes, this is for the Cardano curious. But we have to be realistic of what exists out there today. And again, we're oriented at helping project creators, and a lot of projects are currently on other chains. And so that's why we went for Polygon.
Hey everybody, welcome to Chainlink Live. My name is Andy Boyan from Chainlink Labs, and I'm here talking to Vent Finance. I've got Alex, I've got Lucas. It's awesome to have you guys here. I've got a chat room full of people. I've got a great community of people from your community as well as our community, and hope those things blend together. Let's go ahead and get it started. Lucas, why don't you lead us off? What is Vent Finance? What are you all about? What makes Vent special? Yeah, well, thanks for the intro. It's great to be here.
Vent Finance, we're doing complex stuff, but we really like to make it simple. We're a simple way to manage all things DeFi, and we're really oriented at project creators. So, we're a one-stop shop for project creators that are looking to, raise funds, build their community, and grow their startup. Whether they're in the ideation phase or they're, ready to launch and launch their token and get through an IDO or ISPO, we really help them to support them. We're here. We're building product, we're building technology, and it's really a new way to stay connected to both projects and communities that matter the most. I think we're really different because we're community driven. We're not just like other launchpads that are transaction based. We have a product, we have a platform where people come, they log in, they upvote, they like projects, they discuss projects, and that is the whole part of building an ecosystem, right? It's you want to go more than just to buy. You want to go to discover and to build a community. And our traction, from the past like 3-4 months have really showed that focus that we have. We're building great product. We're security and trust conscious, and that really shows that there is a space for better quality launchpads, I would say.
Can I just take one step back because you're an IDO platform? I'm familiar with the term ICO from the 2017-18 boom, which stands for initial coin offering, where you put in crypto or money of some kind into a contract, and then you get tokens at some point. What is an IDO, and how is that different?
I mean, an IDO stands for initial DEX offering, right? And a lot of people mention, the key role that decentralized exchanges are playing. For us, we like to describe ourselves as a launchpad in general, because IDO is just one of the ways you get your token out there, right? The whole objective, you're building a project, you're building a utility token, and you want people to do something with it. The IDO is what we're using today. Like you said, yesterday we were using the ICO. People are looking at IEOs as well. But we're currently, an IEO is straight on exchange, initial exchange offering.
Okay, cool.
So you don't even go through, you don't go through a platform. What we're looking at is how do we support projects, and what do they need recurrently, independently of if it's an IDO, ICO, ISPO, whatever it is. ISPO, one of the projects we're really good friends with, Mel just went through an ISPO themselves. And that's, they started staking. It's this initial stake pool offering. And that's an amazing way of doing things, right? So there's never just one answer to the issue or to the problem. What we're trying to find is the problem is raising funds and getting a community that holds your token. And based on that, you have to find the best technology and best product to do that. Today, we're looking into the IDO. Tomorrow, we might be looking into something else. And more specifically, what we're doing is removing all the pain points that you occur, right? You look at, all these other players in the market, and you have to go through this KYC, you have to go through this other link, then you have to go through registration, you have to, be on Telegram, on Twitter, on all these different channels. And we said, hey, why don't we smoothen out the process? Why don't we make it as easy as possible, and make sure that it's an experience that people enjoy, right? If you're using a fintech product and you enjoy that, why can't we just bring that to DeFi? And that's what, like, the journey that we set ourselves on. And we really think that we're trying to, address a necessity in the market.
That's cool. I'm reminded of just earlier today, Kane from Synthetics had a Twitter thread. Did you guys see this?
No.
No, we did not. No.
Juan, you got to go find it and drop it in the chat. It's talking about fundraising and projects who are fundraising in crypto and DeFi and how the rules are different. And he recommends, like, get weird, try different stuff. There are no real rules. I mean, there are rules, but like the way that you can do fundraising and the different mechanisms, there's a lot you can try, because this is still kind of the Wild West when it comes to that. And it sounds like you guys are trying to give people a platform to do some of that at least.
No, definitely. I mean, I don't know, Alex, if you want to comment on what's your take personally. Again, this is very personal. A lot of these things is, you kind of build tools. We like to describe that, as a launchpad, ultimately what we do is create a tool, right? We're giving you something, and then you as a community, whether it's a project creator or an investor, has to take advantage of it, right? We can't decide for you whether you want to invest or you don't want to invest. We're just giving you the platform, and then, empowering them to take better decisions or invest in better projects, or, just make their life easier.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what we want to do is to connect investors with startups that are innovative. And of course, we are looking into multiple ways on how to fund these projects. So it's very exciting, and there's a lot happening, like you guys just mentioned. But the ultimate goal is to foster innovation, right? So that is what we stand for. That's what we want to look for. And yeah, definitely discovering these type of different innovative ways to raise funds is super exciting. And we won't stop where we're at right now, which is a launchpad. And yeah, lots to come.
Awesome. I want to let the community know in the chat. I see your questions. I'm going to get to them. I just have questions because I'm a curious person as well. So keep asking them. We're tracking them, and I'll get you up on here. I promise. Yes. Hi. I see you guys. I'm here with you. One question I had, because you've mentioned the users, and that so there's users who are doing fundraising, and then there are users who are investing. Are these the same users? Is it like a community that kind of self-funds itself and they build projects together? Or are they very different? And what do those users kind of care about? What are their main interests?
Well, what are their main interests? So let's start with the first part of the question, where you say you have two type of users for the platform, which is, yes, you have the ones that want to raise the funds. And on the other hand, you have the investors, those that want to be part of the project, that want to invest into the project. And what we've been seeing is that there are a lot of issues still with IDO launchpads that we want to solve, in the sense that right now, competitors of ours that are launching on that are Cardano-based launchpads have extremely high transaction fees, because they are still built their first version on Ethereum. So once it comes to a project and they want to invest, then there are these so-called gas fees, where everyone just bets on a higher transaction fee, and therefore sometimes someone pays more for the transaction fee than the actual amount that they're investing. The second thing that we're also seeing is that in terms of quality of the projects, right? So people and users are really looking for quality projects. And due to the hype of the market, we are really seeing that sometimes projects are just launched due to the hype, and there's nothing behind that. So we at Vent really want to, vet basically these projects. And this leads to the community aspect, where different to other launchpads, how projects are vetted is through the community in the first phase. So we have an upvote functionality on our platform, where the community can upvote, and once the project itself reaches a threshold, it then is eligible to apply to an IDO, right? And we then have our team, we call it the Vent Quality Standards. We have certain aspects also together with other partners, that we're working with to vet these projects on the team, on how feasible is the idea that they want to do, and how can this actually be used in the real world. So these are things that we're considering.
Yeah, I think, Andy, you also touched on a good point. And sorry to cut you off there, Alex. On the fact that, like you said, they're two different type of users, right? You segment them on this two-sided platform. Kind of look the same way you look at other platforms like Airbnb or Uber, right? You have your drivers and you have your riders. And that's exactly what Alex is explaining, in the sense that the pain points are the same. And it might just happen that you're a project creator and that you're building your own startup, but you're still interested in what's going on in Cardano, right? Especially when you're so engaged in a specific chain. So yes, we tailor different messaging and we tailor different needs and problems, and we're solving both problems on both ends. But at the end of the day, the community is still the same and the interests are aligned. If you can get investors and if it's easy for investors to participate in IDOs, then ultimately for project creators that are trying to raise funds, it'll just be, much less of a hassle to raise those funds. And I think that's what we all in the industry, and that isn't project specific. It's literally all DeFi industry needs to work on, is the same way banks had to evolve and started to build, better experience, better support teams, etc. We should be, hold accountable to the same level of standards, right? Why is the UX just shit on many projects, right? What can we do in terms of support to make the experience as flawless as possible? And that is something that we haven't been living in DeFi, right? It looks like we're 5 years behind. You try and send an email, maybe they'll get back to you in 10 days. Maybe they'll never get back to you. And that if you had that experience at the bank, I'm pretty sure, you'd leave the bank, right? So that's, I think that those are some good points that we want to address. And I think it's agnostic depending, it doesn't really matter whether it's a project creator or an investor or retail investor. We're still, focused on serving both types of clients.
I've got a bunch of questions here. You guys have a popular project, it looks like. And so I'm going to start getting to some of these questions. Sam has one. Well, I'm going to call you Sam. Our transaction fees, this is in response to Alex's comment about, transaction fees as you kind of are investing in a project and pulling tokens out. And Sam asks about the migration to Cardano. Can you talk a little bit about the migration from Polygon to Cardano? You don't have to give me dates. I don't hold developers to hard dates here, audience, because I know I've been in tech long enough. But what is the thinking behind that? What's the process, and what can some of your users expect in terms of information that you'll give out?
I mean, the message is clear. We're a Cardano Launchpad, right? And we're a Cardano company. We love Cardano. We've been following Cardano for years, and we love what they stand for. I think that the research that they have, the product focus, the priority that they give to quality versus just getting out there and enjoying the hype, says a lot about the development the development mentality and the mission that they're on. We kind of took that as an approach and said, okay, we like Cardano, we love Cardano, but we still understand and recognize where the community is today. And so based on that, what we said is, cool, we'll have a Cardano native token and we'll build something there. But in the meantime, and especially with the fluctuating market that exists today, you have to be out there. You have to be out there today. Not promise that you'll be there in 6 months, but say, okay, I already have something and here's my plan to transition. And based on that, we looked at everything out there, right? We looked at, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum. We looked at layer 2s. And we said, what can we do? And where are best projects, right? Where are projects that they're actually building something that's substantial, not just hype, but substantial project where there's technology and where there's a real interest for Cardano. And we started scratching and knocking on different doors. And at one point we knocked at the right door, and that was Polygon. And Polygon was like, listen, this is what we're building at Matic. It's really cool. There's a lot of scalability to it. A lot of the ticks were the same as Cardano. It doesn't address all the issues that Cardano does. And we can get that now, like why Cardano as well. But that's kind of the logical step process of why we needed to launch. And then here's the synergy. He said, what's the roadmap? Like, how do you change from one to the other? And this is the cool thing, Cardano is still, pretty much in the starting blocks where a lot has to be built. And so we are discussing with the Polygon team, like, what are we doing? Like, how are we going to migrate? And they say, hey, why don't we build it ourselves? And that's super exciting, which we announced a few days ago. We're putting everything together to build a bridge between Cardano and Polygon. And I think that the best way to showcase that is to do our own migration, right? If we're able to take our token from Polygon and migrate it to Cardano, that's the best way to show your product. Again, a bridge isn't property of anyone. You put the resources and you dedicate what you can, but a bridge is supposed to be owned by users, right? By community. If not, it's a super centralized thing if we just run it ourselves. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. Not sure when that's going to happen. We're going to have a date. That's really going to depend on the Alonso release in August. If smart contracts are live on Cardano and they're working well, our team is obviously going to be working, really hard during the month of August to get that Haskell stuff, out there. We're growing our team. We've got 2 new people that just joined, purely Haskell. So we're not working on anything in Solidity. that shows that, all of our resources in terms of what we've raised is towards Cardano. Now it's just a question of time.
So Manoj asked early, is this the first Polygon to Cardano bridge? It sounds like it. Like you guys are building the first.
We believe so, yes.
That's awesome. So Manoj, great question, and really interesting process. Honestly, this speaks to the spirit of DeFi. Does this exist? Okay, let's build it. Because you can, right? They're supposed to be composable, and if it's not composable yet, it will be, because somebody will need to bridge somewhere. And your mission to launch a product. Just from the fundraising and investing side, a lot of investors won't invest in a project until you've demonstrated there's a product, there's a need for it. So, launching something and getting it live is a ton of work, and speaks a lot to your team philosophy as well. I've got some specific questions as well that I'll get to in a little bit. While we're here, can you give me the overview? Give me the 30-second pitch. Why Cardano? What is special about this as a platform? I'm very familiar with Ethereum and the ETH ecosystem and EVM. So give me the pitch, just so we have some context for those of us who are a little more Solidity heads.
Alex, do you want to take that, or?
No, you go ahead, Lucas.
I mean, for me, Cardano is very clear, right? First is, where does Cardano fit in the whole picture? You mentioned Bitcoin, generation 1, ETH, generation 2. Here comes Cardano, generation 3. What's his advantage is obviously, Charles and his team have a vision of everything that's gone wrong and everything that's gone right. And what that allows them to do is, as a so-called, third generation blockchain, they're able to address, scalability, interoperability, security, sustainability issues that you just weren't able to do because you didn't have retrospect before. And what they said is, cool, let's work on research papers. Let's work on the science behind this, on the tech. And they took 6 years, right? When you take 6 years, you have a disadvantage, which is you're not live. But the advantage is people that do stay for X amount of years are really invested in the project, and they're working on these issues. They're working on the tech, and that product focus and that, research focus around science is the biggest advantage that they have. What that means for an end user is, faster experience. It means more scalability. You get more users. It means you address security on a smart contract level and not at a later stage. It doesn't mean that, you're not going to have to go through audits. It just means that they've ticked a lot of boxes from the beginning, right? It's like when you buy the first iPhone, compare that to what you have now. Obviously, they've improved on most of those elements. And that, I would say, is the biggest reason why we took Cardano. And then there's obviously the whole philosophy, right? When you build a project on an ecosystem, you're not just buying the technology, you're buying the technology and the users behind it. And the users of Cardano are really aligned with the long-term vision that we have.
I got a question. This is a little bit more towards your tokenomics. Several people have asked about your tokenomics as well, which it sounds like you're releasing in a couple of weeks, a more formal one. Is there going to be a staking pool on Cardano? Assuming that your protocol has staking on Polygon, is there a similar thing on Cardano for now to give rewards, or is that coming later, closer to a launch?
So in our case right now,
no.
Yeah. Okay.
So currently, no, but we're definitely going to plan this in the future. So I think he's relating to more what Lucas mentioned before, is an ISPO, where users can stake Cardano, and then the project takes that Cardano to get how do you say?
To leverage the yield.
Exactly. To leverage, exactly. Thank you. To leverage the yield and therefore use that in order to fund their project. But that is in the future. In our case, we don't want. We're at the beginning. We won't have that.
I think the objective here is, why do projects raise funds, right? They need initial liquidity to build the project. What we said is, what's the minimum amount we need to be able to to build something successful, and not to give us too much comfort, right? You don't want to be raising 10 million and be like, let me go on a holiday, right? You want to be there, have the dynamics where it's like, holy shit, if we don't build something within 3 months, we're out. And the fact that we all quit our jobs and went full in 4 months ago, it kind of is a testament to the dedication that we have to the project. But we can't take 2 wrong decisions. We can take one, we have a bit of a backup there. We can't take 2 wrong decisions. And so in that sense, we haven't looked into the stake pool yet, because we think that with the liquidity that we are going to acquire through our IDO, that's going to be enough. Having said that, we only have 25, 26% of our tokens in circulation. And that means we still have so much road ahead where, I don't know, if in 10 months we're like, okay, it's the right time to do something else, then we might look into that, right? And we're always happy to have that discussion. And not just when I say we are happy, it's not just us as founders, but it's us with the community. We just discuss stuff like this with people in our Telegram chat. And pretty much, 7 to 10 days later, then we're like, okay, guys, we looked into it. We like it. Let's do it, And I think it's a nice governance way of running a company.
So there's a few questions in here that are pretty specific. So Max, I see yours about non-accredited US investors. That's a really good place to take to the Telegram, which all the links are down below. Join the communities, please, because some of them are just a little bit hyper specific for here, and we are starting to run up on time, and we've got a lot more questions. So we do see your questions. I want to make sure I get to some of these broader ones. There was one that I think is really important for your community. Will you provide a community tutorial for the Vent IDO on Polygon for those not familiar with using Polygon?
Yes, of course. I mean, the thing is, our philosophy is to be simple and basically for anyone to participate in these launches. So what we will provide is videos, tutorials, and also texts that will explain how to take part in this. So we know that it's a bit more complex as Polygon is a sidechain, and they would have to switch certain settings in, for example, their MetaMask. But no worries there. We will soon provide videos that will explain this in detail.
The nice thing is it's just MetaMask, right? So
yeah, to the community, if it's pretty straightforward. There's a fair amount of tooling now to let you switch networks from Polygon to Ethereum to Avalanche to Binance Smart Chain to whatever. It's pretty straightforward if you're familiar with wallets. So I'm sure those will be nice. I forgot to ask you guys, can you explain how you're using Chainlink? This is a Chainlink Labs hosted event. How are you guys using Chainlink?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so the basic
simple.
answer is to provide a fair and transparent whitelist selection, right? So what the VRF basically provides is randomization of wallets and it selects those wallets to be part of the IDO. And the fantastic thing about it is that it's on-chain data, so it can be basically verified by the user themselves, and this cannot be tampered by anyone. So that is why we used it, because we believe in transparency, and we think for the selection of whitelist participants, it's the best way, and it's the fairest way as well.
And we just had an announcement with you guys using this a couple of days ago, I think. So you can look on the blog. You can just search up VentUp and or Vent Finance and Chainlink and find that post. I think I might have linked the post down below too, if you guys want to read about that. So absolutely, thank you guys. At Chainlink Labs, we're here building Chainlink and trying to help make it accessible to projects who need it. I think an IDO allocation sort of system is a fantastic use case for VRF to make sure that people get fair distribution, fair allocation, and it's not gamed. The Vent team here, they don't get cutsies in line or anything like that. So there are a ton of more questions here, and I'm not going to get to all of them. I see people who are like, thanks for listening to community. So I think that's thanks to you guys who are addressing in your Telegram, which I'm going to help you guys plug down below. Please join the Telegram community. It sounds like that's where you're active. Check their website and check their Twitter. Also join the Chainlink communities as well. We'll include those as well. But before we kind of wrap up and sign off here, what's sort of next on the roadmap? What kind of timelines? We're not holding you to anything specific here, but what sorts of things are we looking at to expect next from your team?
Well, first of all, on the 7th of July, we can announce that we will open our platform. Our platform will be live for registration. So users can start registering and applying for whitelist, specifically for those that are not early community members, because they already have a specific whitelist place. And then mid to end July, we will be holding our IDO. And further to that, we will then be developing our Polygon-Cardano Bridge, which we're super excited to release in the near future. And then, of course, the big event to migrate from Polygon to Cardano. I think we're all very excited for that. And then in the future, we also want to build a decentralized exchange that goes hand in hand in one platform with Launchpad. And another project that I'll quickly mention is the marketplace that we want to build, so that projects that raise funds can directly spend these funds on services that will help them build their project. So you don't actually have to get the money out of the system, but you can pay them directly through our marketplace. So these are the projects that are going to come.
Awesome. Yeah, we had some questions about your decks as well, whether you guys were going to. So it sounds like that is on the map. Thank you guys for being here. This has been really incredible. A nice glimpse for me and many of our community into the Cardano ecosystem, what you guys are building and why. It's been awesome talking to you guys and getting to know you. And to community, what a killer set of questions. I really appreciate them. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them, but please join Telegrams. Go ask Alex and Lucas what's up there. Alex and Lucas, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you so much for your time, Andy.
Yeah, let's do it again. I want to see if we get this bridge going. I want to follow up and stay in touch with you guys. I'd be really happy to do that. Juan, thank you for being my man in the chat. The chat, thank you for being the chat filled with awesome questions today. Again, my name is Andy Boyan. I work for Chainlink Labs. This has been Chainlink Live. Like and subscribe. Join me for more. I've got 2 more of these tomorrow. I talk to really interesting projects and founders all the time who are taking their own innovative takes on DeFi, building all the picks and shovels and ecosystems that you can imagine for this incredible composable smart contract world we're living in. So please join me again tomorrow. Again, thank you, everybody. This has been Chainlink Live.